Hey, Frank, couples counselor here. Today I want to talk about the topic of when I meet with people and they say things such as, she doesn't want to talk to me. She doesn't want to say anything. Every time I ask her questions, every time I want to have a dialogue with her, she just ices me out. She just ignores me. What do you do in those situations? In those situations, actually, like a marker here. If you think about it, a marker, what the purpose of a marker is for it to write, to mark. Now, in order for that to happen, what needs to happen is, in order for that to happen, is it needs to take off the marker cap. In order for it to express itself through the way it's been designed, to seeping out the ink that has been stored inside, right? Thing that needs to happen is, first, it needs to be uncapped. A lot of our situations when it comes to our wife, right? Your wife, my wife, right? Her heart needs to be uncapped. It's because the reason why she can't share what's on her heart is because she feels unsafe. She doesn't feel safe to uncap her heart. She doesn't feel safe to express herself because there are things that she's protecting. It's just a protective move. When she turns off, when she tunes out, when she closes off, when she doesn't respond, right? That's her way of protecting her heart, protecting the relationship between you and her, because she recognizes if she was to say anything else, it might make things worse. If she was to say something, it might trigger her. And you're thinking, well, how does she know? She's not, I'm not going to get mad or anything like that. Maybe her past experiences up until this point has been something where she would uncap her heart and things would be said, and then the conflict would get escalated once again, and now she has to protect her heart and cap her heart again, because she closes off, tunes down, volume goes off, whatever it is, to protect her heart from saying anything. In the process, it irritates you. It might get you frustrated because you're trying to reach for her love. You're trying to reach to connect with her. Your volume goes up, you get louder, and understandably so, because you're trying to connect with your wife. But in doing that method, that strategy, that move, she caps her heart and she can't communicate anymore until she feels safe. I want to share with you 3 simple steps to emotional safety. Emotional safety requires these steps. It's very simple. I didn't say it's easy, but it's simple, right? I share these with you. You're like, but the thing is, you need to stay in that moment, stay in the game, and continuing to apply these 3 simple steps. The first thing that we need to do in having to create emotional safety in our relationship is, number 1, we need to notice her body language. This requires observing how she says things, the verbals, but also the non-verbals. Noticing how she moves, noticing if she turns off again, she tunes out. That should tell you. When she tunes out, when she goes quiet, that tells you she's not safe. And that requires you, when she goes quiet, when she turns off, that requires you to stay patient with her. But noticing her body language, when she's expressing herself, you're going to pay attention to the words that she uses. You're going to pay attention to the volume and how it goes up or down, the inflections of her voice, but you're also noticing her face. You're noticing her body language. Our body keeps the score, and it shares, and it tells us what is expressing, right? You can tell when someone is upset because they get their gestures get big, it gets wide, it's open kind of thing, right? Their face, everything tells the story, the context of what they're trying to communicate. In fact, effective communication is 80 to 90% is body language, and 10 to 15% is what the content of what they say. So it's very important for us as husbands to pay attention to what your wife is saying, not just through her words, but through her body language. Notice those things, because those are tells of what she's trying to communicate to you. The second thing that we need to notice is this. The first thing is notice her body language, but the second thing in having to create emotional safety, real simple, not just notice her body language, but the second thing we need to do is ask her, right? What is going on? How are you feeling? And when we ask this question, what are your thoughts? What's going through your mind? How are you feeling? Asking her, right? Because we can't read her mind. And we need to ask. We can tell, again, body language says a lot about the story of what's going on, tells the context of what's going on. Her nonverbals tells a story, but the thing, we need to simply explicitly ask her, how are you feeling? And when she shares how she is feeling, when she shares these things, she most likely might say some pointed words directed at you, some hurtful things directed at you. But this is all coming from a place of what, again, if you hear in my videos, everyone has positive intents in how they do and what they do. At the seed form of everything, there's a positive intent. It's just a lot of times we don't have or don't know how to articulate it, or we don't feel safe to articulate it in such a vulnerable place. So what comes out is this escalated anger, frustration, and it comes out hard. It comes out difficult to hear. And so when we ask questions like, how are you feeling? Get ready, because this is where it gets rocky, but this is where we need to press in and really hear, because it hurts so much. The pain comes out so frustrating, so hard, but that pain, really underneath that pain, underneath that frustration, underneath the waterline of that iceberg is love. So this is where we need to avoid justifying. This is where we need to avoid defending ourselves. This is where we even need to avoid sharing your perspective. That doesn't happen yet. That comes later. But in having to prepare this space for emotional safety, we ask the question, how are you doing? How are you feeling? And get ready, because she's, like I said, she's going to throw things at you, verbally speaking, but avoid the need or the want to justify, defend, or offer your perspective or shove your perspective into that conversation. It's a simple way of, it's a way of just putting up the walls, and for her to come back to this place of tapping her heart once again. All right. So ask her, how are you feeling? Prepare yourself before you ask the question. But no, when you ask the question, how are you feeling? How are you doing? What's going on inside? It might be an onslaught of all kind of stuff. But prepare yourself. Remember, as a man, get ready. Right. The third thing is understand of the truth. Right. Her version of the truth, and I put it in quotations there, because that's her version of the truth. That's her version of what she feels, what she sees, what she's going through. And again, it may be a wrong perspective, because that's not the way she's telling the story about how you did and why you did and how the engagement between you and her. That's her truth, right? This is how she feels. And how she sees it is how she sees it. How she interprets it is how she interprets it. And you can't say that. You shouldn't feel that way. Right? Because that's her version of the truth. Now, the word here is understand her version of the truth. Again, noticing her body language, and when she shares with her what you ask, how are you feeling, and she tells you these things, understand that that's her version of the truth. And so she's attached her emotions, she has attached her heart to her version of the truth. And what it requires of us when she tells her version of the truth is to simply understand. Understanding before you can be understood. Understanding her perspective. It's the old adage saying, put yourself in their shoes. Putting yourself where her heart is. And then coming to the place, I get it. That makes sense why you feel that way. Right? In fact, steal that from me. Just use that. When she says what she says, that makes sense. I get it. That makes sense why you would feel that way. Why you would do that, say that, whatever it is. Right? But the bottom line in all of this is this. Practice patience. Practice patience. We have to practice patience. For all of this to happen, we need to practice patience. Patience requires us to have self-control. Patience requires us to have this part of us to hold back and having to suspend our perspective, our defensive stance, justifying, our sharing our excuses, whatever it is. And it requires us to practice patience, to allow her to share what she needs to say so that she can have a safe space. A lot of couples get caught up into this negative cycle, and when they try to repair and make amends, they get caught up in when she asks what's going on, when you ask what she's going on, and she starts sharing her part, right? We as men, we feel a need to butt in there and tell our part, our perspective, our justifications, and our whatnots, right? And it just causes her heart, once again, to be capped. And then we no longer can have this conversation. Now, every time we get a conflict going on, she doesn't feel safe. She always tunes out and turns off. But if you can show care and understanding when your wife shares her fears, her concerns, her frustrations, her hurts, if you can show care and understanding when she shares those things, the both of you will be able to bounce from any argument. Let me say that again. If you can show care and understanding when your wife shares her fears, her concerns, her frustrations with the world and with you, if you can share that, if you can show that care and understanding, the both of you will be able to bounce back from any argument. But it requires us to practice patience. So, I say again, what are the 3 simple steps to emotional safety? Notice her body language. Ask her, right? Ask her, well, how are you feeling? How are you feeling? In other videos, I also bring up other things, other questions you can ask, such as, what do you need from me to help you share what's going on? What are you afraid of in having to share your stuff with me, right? Those are great questions to ask in the midst of all of that. And then understand her version of the truth. If you've been enjoying what I've been sharing with you guys and it's been adding value to your marriage, please share this with other friends and family. Comment down below how this has been helping you. Ask any questions that you may have in regards to helping you draw closer and have a stronger relationship with your wife. And subscribe to my channel so that you can get notifications when I put these videos out there. Again, if I can help your marriage, I can help your family. If I can help your family, I can impact the community. Hope this helps. Enjoy life. Take care.